After the Broncos just spent big money in the secondary in free agency, is it possible they spend even more capital using a first-round pick on a corner or a safety? Welcome in to Broncos Weekend, everybody. I'm Matt Boyer. Alexis Perry, Dennis Smith, and Voice of the Fan will all be along in just a moment. But as always, we are starting in studio with the Hall of Famer, Steve Atwater. Steve, you are the last true safety, my friend, that the Broncos have drafted in the first round. I don't want to make you feel old. I know. I don't want to make you feel old. I know in your heart you hope the Broncos draft a safety, but is corner or safety in the plans, do you think, after the Broncos have already invested so much money and capital via free agency in the secondary?
Yeah, we do have a lot of capital in that defensive back room. But, with the way some of those contracts are structured, I definitely think it's a possibility that they could draft either a corner or a safety. There are several qualified guys there. If not there at 9, if we trade back, be a perfect place to get one of those guys.
Both Kyle Fuller and Bryce Callahan, Steve, are going to be free agents after 2021. So maybe the Broncos, with all that talent, look to the secondary this year in the first round. Let's take a look at some of those names. And we're starting first with Patrick Surtain. Steve, 6'2", 202, runs a 4.41. NFL pedigree, dad played 11 years in the league, got the ball skills, 31 pass breakups for his career at Bama. Unanimous All-American in 2020. Steve, there's a lot to like here about Patrick Surtain.
Yeah, there's a lot to like, and you know that he's been in a family with a dad who's been right by his side the whole time, been coaching him up, teaching him how to be a professional.
Dad taught him a lot of the tricks of the trade, the way he uses his hands, very, very disruptive. Do you see that on the film? How much of those instincts do you think are natural with a guy like this?
A lot are natural, but he's been putting in a lot of work, and you can tell. You look at the film, it comes out on film that he's put a lot of time in staying in front of receivers, getting his hands on the guys, making them go around, and then getting in between the quarterback and the receiver. And with the speed that he has, he can stay with pretty much anyone, and that shows on the field as well. The one thing that I'm not crazy about is his physicality. I've seen some of the other corners who are just a tad bit more physical than him, but with cornerbacks, that's kind of to be expected. But yeah, there's some cornerbacks that'll come up and hit you. He will too, but it's not as stumpy as I like to see.
Steve, Surtain is one of the names that we most often see associated with the Broncos in mock drafts. This other guy, though, a guy who had a dad in the league, J.C. Horn, a guy you are pretty familiar with, I know.
Yeah, well, I was familiar with him when he was a young guy running around in Pampers. We lived in the same neighborhood, Joe Horn and I, and his family, and my family and I. So, yeah, I got a chance to see him as a youngster. And, he's a physical guy. He's big, he's strong, he's fast, 41-inch vertical. This guy, he's a playmaker, and he's got plenty of confidence.
Aqib Talib told us last week, Steve, confidence is crucial to having success at corner at this level. He does not lack for that. And in fact, Dane Brugler from The Athletic says, quote, Horn is a press man corner in the Aqib Talib mold.
Ooh, yes, that's a great thing. And if J.C. Horn is in that same conversation in terms of his talent level, his confidence, that's a good thing. And, we've seen him play. He's a physical guy, and he does a lot of talking on the field. But I think he's able to back it up.
But would you take him at 9? 9's kind of a high. That's a high bar, top 10. If you're George Payton, is he a trade back guy, or would you be comfortable taking him at 9?
I'll be comfortable taking him at 9, but I don't know if with the guys that we have on the roster right now, if that would make sense there. I would certainly love to trade back and still be able to get him. I don't know if we will. I don't know if he'll still be there if we trade back, depending on how far back we go. But, if we could trade back, that would be a little bit more appropriate, especially because the guys we have in the room right now, that'd be a little rich for a corner for me.
The next guy on the list, Steve, is a guy that we saw at the beginning January, February, get mocked to the Broncos a lot. Caleb Farley from Virginia Tech. But since that time, Steve, he's had back surgery that's prevented him from pro day work and will keep him out most of the offseason. So there are some concerns there. Farley, remember, was one of the first big names to opt out of 2020. So we haven't seen him on a football field in a long time. But the physical skills are there. 6'1", 197. His ability to close is incredible. How do you weigh the pros and cons here, Steve?
Well, I'll tell you what, first and foremost, the guy, he's a playmaker. And he knows it. He'll tell you, yes. I'm a dog. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But, yeah, there are some red flags just in terms of not necessarily him opting out of the season, because a lot of the guys did that for various reasons, and I understand that. But with the back issue, he had an injury early on. But when I see this guy play on the field, I see possibly a future Pro Bowler, a guy who plays hard. He's physical. He's got great hands. He does everything that you want a great corner to do, and he has the speed to go along with it. So if he can stay healthy at this next level, he's going to be special.
Last corner we got to get to, Steve, is Greg Newsome, the second out of Northwestern, 6 feet, 192, ran a 4.38 at his pro day. And that speed, actually, some of these 40 times, stick your finger on the stopwatch there, you question it. But that speed did show up on film when I was watching. Very sticky in coverage. Not a guy for me at 9, Steve, but you trade back. This could be a guy in that 17 to 22 range for me. What do you like about his game?
Yeah, I like his game a lot. He's a guy that will get physical with you. 71 tackles over a 3-year career. That's actually lower than Patrick Surtain and J.C. Horn. Only 1 interception, but he does get his hands on the ball. He batted a lot of balls down, a lot of passes defended, 20 passes defended over his 3-year career. I think if we trade back, if we can get in the late 20s, we can still get a real good quality cornerback or safety. We'll be discussing that in a moment here in this draft.
Well, let's talk about safety, Steve. Your position, your area of expertise. It doesn't look like safety is in play at 9, although crazier things have happened. We'll each take a name, okay, because there are a couple of guys near that top of the list on the safety board. Who do you like the best at the safety spot?
Well, I'm not going to take your guy, Richie Grant from UCF.
That is my guy.
That's your guy. I'm going to go with Trayvon Merrick. He's a playmaker too. He's a guy, kind of a center fielder. He'll go up and get the ball. I've seen him a lot in cover 3 coverage, deep middle of the field. 7 interceptions, 21 passes defended, and he's physical. He'll come up and hit you. He's not in the mode of like a JOK, who I think is a safety too.
I know.
Owusu-Koramoah, I think he's a safety as well. But Richie Grant, I think he brings a little bit more fire when it comes to tackling and the physicality. But man, Trayvon Merrick, he has hands. And he's a playmaker, too.
Tim Thorpe, award winner for a reason last year in 2020. Richie Grant for me, Steve, 5'11", 197. If you like safeties with that edge and some nastiness, this guy has a big hitter, but he can be a ball hawk as well. I like his versatility. Reminds me a little of Kareem Jackson in that way, in the fact that, he can come up and hit you, but then also he can get back in coverage, high point a ball, really make some plays. I like his closing speed. He hits bigger than a guy his size, which I always enjoy. The Broncos have only drafted 2 safeties in their history, Steve, in the first round. You and our next guest, who is
DS49.
DS49. Dennis Smith is joining Atwater's A-Team this week to discuss the safety position and tell us why Justin Simmons might be the perfect mentor for a safety, similar to how Smith was the perfect mentor for a young Steve Atwater. In the history of the Denver Broncos, only 2 safeties have ever been taken in the first round, and both went on to have Ring of Fame careers. Dennis Smith is joining Atwater's A-Team this week to discuss what it takes to have success as a safety in the NFL, as well as give us a little taste of what we can expect when we see Smith present Steve for induction at the Hall of Fame later this summer.
First off, man, I want to ask you, 14-year career, 6-time Pro Bowler, 30 interceptions. How did you have that longevity like that with the way that you played the football game?
I don't know. And when I first came in the league, that was one of the main concerns with, I think, the organization and with myself, because I kept getting hurt so much. And that was, and the injuries I was getting, though, earlier in my career were more like pulled muscles and things like that. But I have had all kind of injuries. But the thing is, I was getting injured so much that I started thinking about how can I play not to get hurt. And it became such of a mindset that I was getting hurt more. You know what I'm saying? Why am I even thinking about how not to get hurt? So I said, let me stop focusing on that altogether and, just play the game and just not worry about getting hurt. That was a big issue early in my career. And then the last half of my career playing with you, I didn't get hurt as much. And it's probably because they made you do more physical stuff than me.
No,
They made you play like almost like a linebacker in situations, and you were making, even though I was listed as the free safety, as the strong safety, I was more like the free safety, and you were more like the strong safety when we played together.
Yeah, we got a chance to change it up a lot.
Yeah.
All right, hold up, DS. All right, 1981, you were the first safety in Broncos history to be drafted in the first round. And then in 1989, I was the second safety that the Broncos drafted in the first round. And no other safeties have been drafted in the first round with the Broncos since then.
Wow. I didn't even know that.
First off, did you know that?
I did not know that.
With the Broncos having only drafted 2 safeties in the first round, you and me, we both on this call together.
And look at you. They didn't make a mistake.
I got coached up and I learned from the best, man.
I think they did a good job. They didn't mess up. And you know what? The thing is about the draft, like back to the draft, I think when it gets to if you don't have like a top pick, like the first 5 or 10 players, you can't really pick anybody you want. Basically, you got to really go in with the mindset, I want to pick, and I think this is what the Broncos did with me, and probably you too, is I want the best available athlete at that spot. Mm-hmm. So when that spot came up, they felt I was the best available athlete, period.
Yeah.
I don't think, because they didn't really even need a safety.
Right.
They had Bill Thompson, who was a Pro Bowl player, and they had Steve Foley, who was a great safety, and they had the players. And even when I got there, the defensive back coach was like, we didn't even need a safety.
And the
funny thing is, my rookie year, never played it down at safety. The whole year. Never.
Wow.
Bill Thompson never got hurt. We talked about that. He never missed a game, never got hurt. Only position I played in my rookie year is corner.
Wow. Now do you feel like the safety position is undervalued when it comes to the draft? Because, like I said, in the Broncos history, only 2 safeties in the first round.
Yeah, I don't know if any position is undervalued. I think, like I said, with us, I think it was they took the best available athlete at the time.
If the Broncos did just say at that number 9 pick draft a safety this year, he would be paired with Justin Simmons long term. Similar to how I was paired with you in 89. Yeah. How can Justin make that guy come in and feel like he can learn from him?
Well, this is the thing that I always felt. And I even felt this way in college, and I think it's probably just the mentality that we had. We wanted to teach them everything we knew and give them every opportunity to excel. I didn't want you to not have every opportunity to excel, because if you're going to beat me out, let it be equal on equal footing. You're like, okay, I told you everything. You just screwed it up.
I'm like, shoot, this dude in. I first saw you play, I'm like, man, he on a whole nother level.
But that's how we played. And you know what? I think that's how you played most of your career too.
One last thing, man, I really appreciate you agreeing to be my presenter in Canton later this year. Now, what are your thoughts and feelings for the upcoming Hall of Fame ceremonies and being my presenter this summer? It means the world to me.
Hey, I appreciate you picking me to do it, and I'm glad I got an extra year so I can write the right things. I can go through my speech and get it right. Yeah, because I want to say, I don't want to forget anything or leave anything out, because you meant a lot to me too, and it's just an honor, and I feel like I'm getting in the Hall of Fame with you just because you're in there, because I feel like you were like my protege.
Yeah.
And I feel like I said, when you got in the league, you could tell us apart. By the time I left, you couldn't tell us apart. And that's a compliment to how you developed over the years.
Well, DS, man, this has been awesome. I really appreciate you spending time out of your busy schedule to be on with us.
Thanks for having me on, man. You guys stay safe.
Thank you, DS, man. Give everybody a hug, man.
All right, I will. You too.
I can speak for Broncos country when I say we cannot wait to see both of those guys in person in Canton when Steve takes his place in the Hall of Fame later this summer. We've got to take a break. When we come back on Broncos Weekend, Alexis Perry is bringing us the story of one diehard Broncos fan born and raised in Colorado who is helping families with one of the most important resources needed during this pandemic. We're introducing you to Marco Navarro next. Marco Navarro is a third-generation Coloradan, a lifelong Broncos fan, and maybe most importantly right now, a member of Broncos country helping in-need families find housing during the COVID-19 pandemic. This week on Voice of the Fan, Alexis Perry is saluting Marco's story, as well as showing us how a young Steve Atwater and a young Terrell Davis made major impacts on Marco's childhood.
Thanks a lot, Matt. First off, Marco, like Matt just mentioned, we are so excited to have you as the voice of the fan this week, not just because of how loyal you have been to this Broncos team over the years, but also because of the outstanding work that you've been doing throughout this pandemic, helping people who have been impacted the hardest with their housing. And I just want to take a moment to thank you for your hard work and for helping those in need.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely very rewarding. I know everyone's gone through COVID in different ways, but it feels great to be a part of the relief.
Yeah, well, hey, as we get into your fandom a little bit, as a third generation Coloradan, did you have a choice as to which team you would root for when you were a youngster?
Absolutely not, Steve. My blood runs orange, so
I know the feeling.
Yeah, I was born a Broncos fan, like my whole family, all my aunts, uncles. Broncos games are a big party growing up.
I love that.
Beautiful.
Well, when you and I originally chatted, Marco, you mentioned that the Hall of Famer here, Steve Atwater, he played a huge role in why you were a big Broncos fan over the years. So do you have any favorite Atwater moments? And are there any other players that have really impacted your fandom over the years?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know Mr. Atwater hears about the Christian Okoye hit all the time. I'm sure he still appreciates it. Definitely like the big hit that you had in Super Bowl 32. I know you took out your own guy too, but you still stopped the play. So those are my two biggest Steve Atwater moments that I remember. I love that about your game. And then Terrell Davis was my other favorite Bronco. Every Colorado kid grew up idolizing him. Terrell Davis, the Mile High Salute, the No Limit Soldiers, Derek Lavelle, Howard Griffith, yeah, all those guys.
Oh, man, that's lovely. Yeah, Von Hebron, everybody, man. Now, you must be born on October the 28th like Terrell and I then, if you like both of us.
I didn't know you had the same birthday. That's awesome.
Yeah, we share the same birthday. Hey, so now that the draft is coming up in a little less than 2 weeks now, the Broncos have 9 total picks, including the 9th overall pick. What do you hope the Broncos do with their top pick?
So I know a lot of people are talking about quarterback. I know the Broncos seem like they want to roll with Drew Lock. I kind of agree with them on that. Anytime you pick highly like that in the top 10, usually teams want to pick like a cornerstone position. And that's something that John Elway used to talk about when he was GM. So you're talking about not only the quarterback, obviously, but your offensive tackles, the edge rushers. You know, they've been trying to replace that right tackle spot for a long time. I know Jawan James didn't really work out the way they hoped. He has that high cap number. So I think that there's a couple guys right there that are going to fall right around number 9. Rashawn Slater out of Northwestern.
You don't think Penei Sewell's going to fall all the way down to 9?
He might. He might. According to Benjamin Albright, he looks like he might be there. So we'll see.
I'm having this hunch that Justin Fields might actually fall to 9. So we'll see how this all works out. But hey, Marco, as a lifetime Broncos fan, a huge fan of number 27 right here, is there anything that you want to ask him?
So I know that Mr. Atwater is also a very humble guy. So I didn't want to really ask you something about yourself because of that. I know you selected this man to introduce you at the Hall of Fame. So I know you really looked up to Dennis Smith. And unfortunately, I didn't really get to witness him play in person. I mean, I've seen him on YouTube, and I know he was a beast. And the way you talk about him, I know you really, he was kind of your mentor. But I just wanted to know if there was a player that either currently in the NFL, another safety, or maybe in recent years that you would compare his game to, who would that be?
You know, Dennis was reckless, man, and just in terms of like he didn't care about getting hurt. You know, that was the last thing on his mind was getting hurt. He was just he's hitting anybody full speed. So I can't really say that I can, man. Not right now. I can't say it. I mean, Kareem Jackson kind of, but you know, Kareem Jackson is a little bit smaller than Dennis was, and but he packs a big punch. But I probably say that's the closest I can get is KJ.
Do you have a favorite safety in the league right now?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I got two of them.
Is it Kareem Jackson and Justin
Yes.
Simmons? You're such a homer.
Yes, they're my guys, man. They're my guys, man. I love those guys.
I love it. Well, Marco, thank you again for joining us, for being a diehard Broncos fan, and again for your work in the community during these crazy times.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Thank you, Marco. Appreciate it, man. Continued success, and I hope to see you again soon.
It was such a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Of course. Matt, back to you.
Our thanks to Marco for all he's doing at work, but for always repping the orange and blue no matter where he goes. That'll do it for us today on Broncos Weekend. I'm Matt Boyer. So long, Broncos country. We will see you next week.